Welcome, and here we go. Uh, this in today's session, what I'll show you is mm, a web app and a Twitter bot that I made with the Oxford Dictionaries API. Uh, as you must be aware, earlier this year, Oxford Dictionaries threw open their API to the public and asked us to just go ahead and use it. So I don't, I'm not exactly a programmer. I don't know how to code very well, but because it's dictionaries, I went ahead and made these apps and this app and this bot. So it the code might be suitable. I mean, like it might look like a beginner's code to you if you are a professional, but anyway. So let me show you the. This is today's agenda. I'll demo the app and the bot to you, and then I'll talk about the technical journey, the difficulties I faced while writing this app and this bot, the code for this app and bot, and the solutions or workarounds I found for them. Then I'll talk about the things that I wish I knew before I just jumped into the API and started using it. And then we'll end with a Q&A question and answer session. Uh, let me show you the first. Let me show you the app that I made with the API. This is the first thing that I made with the API actually, and I'll just show you a demo of the app that I recorded for you. What this app? It's a web app, and what it does is it's written in Python. What it does is it'll take an Urdu word as an input, and it'll show you the translation into English, the pronunciation of this word, of the word, and the synonyms and related words if there are any in the corpus, in the Oxford Dictionary corpus. So what we'll do now is we'll enter a word and we say go, and we wait for the API to return some results for us. And here they are, the results. The word that we entered, it was darat. Darat, the translation in English is tree. If you do not know how to say that aloud, if you are a beginner, a learner, English learner, there's an MP3 file to help you with the pronunciation. And if you want to increase your vocabulary, know more about synonyms, there are synonyms and related words also pulled from the Oxford corpus, the dictionary corpus. If you need to see another word, you just use the back button of your browser, enter another word, and look at the results. So a very simple app written in Python. It's running on my local machine, so that's the server. I mean, that's the local server. And I'll just show you the code for this app. It's written in Python. It uses the Flask web framework and the two standard libraries, requests and JSON. I am running it on this laptop on my local server, so I don't need to give any credentials for that. But if I were to deploy it on the cloud and say on Heroku and run it through the cloud, I would need to give the host and port details for the cloud deployment. Like this. And this code is available for you on GitHub. If you need to use it or incorporate it, feel free to modify it any which way you want to. So that's how we do it if we want to run it on the, if you want to make this app generally available to the public. And what else? These are the libraries, and I'm using the render template for the web framework. I take an input through HTML, and I also return the input, the output through an HTML file. So that's my input HTML file, and then after I get the input, I pass it on to the API and parse the JSON response to to pick the translations. One word can have a number of translations. So there is a for loop there for all of the translations, and then I pass it on to the HTML that you see. I mean, an app user sees as the output. Let me show you the HTML files now. This is my this is the page where you enter the word. The variable name is Urdu word, which is what I pass into my Python script. I used a post method for it, and once this word is fed into the corpus and I get the values, I use variables to pass it on to an output file, an output HTML file. There is a for loop for each of the translations that the dictionary returns. Each of these translations will be printed on the HTML page. A Flask. I mean, the only reason I'm using Flask as this rendering machine is I was told it's easier to learn than Django. There is no other reason to prefer Flask over Django. And that brings us to the end of our web app demo. Let me go back to the presentation and show you the Twitter bot. Now this, after I'd made the web app, I hadn't yet deployed it to the cloud. I thought, why not extend it and make it into a Twitter app? So what the Twitter app does is it takes a word list, pings the Oxford API, puts the meanings onto a tweet, and tweets. Essentially, I mean, this is how the tweets look like. The other thing about this app is it not only pings the Urdu endpoint. These are Urdu words. It also pings the Hindi endpoint. I also made a Twitter bot that uses the same logic as the app, but it also what it also does is besides pinging the Urdu endpoint for the Urdu meanings, it takes the same word and pings the Hindi dictionary as well, and shows you the Hindi meanings. So if you the simple why I am doing it in this roundabout manner is there is no Urdu to Hindi translation API available as of yet. So the same word I'm writing in two different scripts, Nastaliq and Devanagari, and returning the meanings. I'll just show you the code for this. This code also is available on GitHub for you to use. I'll just show you the code for this app. This is a bot, sorry, for this bot. This uses several more libraries than the bot because it's Twitter, than the app because it's a Twitter bot, so it uses Tweepy. Urdu, we know it's written in the Arabic, in the Nastaliq script. And if I were to use an imaging library to put it on a image, that two more libraries to reshape the letters and I mean the alphabets, the in their correct form. And we are also using the Python imaging library to draw the picture. The other library that we are using is no, it's not a library. It's what you call an entire conversion dictionary. Here, what we are doing is each of the letters in that Urdu word, we are parsing and converting it into their Devanagari counterparts, so that if you do not know how to read Nastaliq, you can still figure out what Urdu word it is by looking at the mappings, the Urdu to Nastaliq mappings. Uh, and the rest of the code is similar to the app code, web app code. Actually, that's the only addition here is I'm also pinging the Hindi endpoint as well. So here, for example, if you see, the Urdu word is jang, j, and each of these letters has been passed and shown separately with their Devanagari counterparts also. This might come in helpful if you are learning how to write or read Nastaliq and you already know Hindi or Devanagari. Okay, so that was the demo for the app and the bot. I'll now talk about the difficulties I faced while making this making mm, these artifacts. The first difficulty was the JSON object itself. If you go to the if you go to the API demo site and look at the JSON response that is sent back by the dictionary, it's a huge it just goes on and on and on. There are lists within dictionaries within lists. I mean, you go on expanding that JSON object, and lists and lists is a dictionary. For beginners like us, it's a bit difficult to parse a JSON object immediately just by looking at their whether it's a dictionary or a list. The curly braces are dictionaries, the square brackets are lists. And so what I did was the solution I found was just putting it onto an online JSON parser, which makes life somewhat easy but not entirely. So what I actually did was I took pen and paper and drew that entire tree on a sheet, and then formed the what do you call it, the path down to the actual translation. The second problem I faced was the language endpoint. Like, I know Devanagari, Hindi, but I do not know Urdu. So now Hindi is not available as a translation endpoint, but Urdu is. So I mean, I had to kind of find a workaround. So I did that that Urdu to Devanagari mapping, and then I actually went and created my own word list, which had both Hindi and Devanagari. I mean, the same word written in both scripts. So that was a bit of a manual intervention on my part. I would have really liked it if there were ready-made word lists available to feed the Twitter bot with. In the and just in case you missed this announcement, besides Urdu and Hindi, we have two more languages now to play with. There is Gujarati and Tamil as well. These are dictionaries, not translations, just Gujarati dictionary and Tamil dictionary, just like the Hindi dictionary. And now I'll talk about things that I knew before I started on this journey. I just jumped in because it was dictionaries and I love words. But the thing is, when you are a beginner coder, just that excitement might get you started, but you will have stumbling blocks. Like, the first thing was the number of meanings that the JSON object returns. I mean, the first few iterations of the script I wrote, it assumed that there will be only one meaning. So there will be only one meaning, only one MP3 file for the sound, only one meaning to feed for the synonyms and related words. But no, that's not the case. One word might have 1,000. I mean, in one case, I saw there were 10 meanings, and it wouldn't even fit into that image that I was putting for the Urdu word. So I had to modify. I mean, I had to put loops within loops in my code to kind of handle several meanings, uh, more than one meaning. And then there is also something called a homograph number. Now, sometimes these words would return very unexpected meanings, meanings that uh, you weren't. I mean, were least expecting. So I also needed to kind of incorporate that homograph number into my code. It seems the lower the homograph number, the more commonly known is the meaning. So that logic had to be put in. I wish I knew all these complications before I started coding. But the thing is, if I knew this, probably I wouldn't have even started coding. The second thing is these non-Roman fonts. All our Indic languages use non-Roman fonts, and they are not very what you call drawing friendly. Like for Arabic, for the Nastaliq font, I had to use an Arabic reshaper to render those fonts properly. For Hindi fonts, like you can see on the screen now, uh, all the vowel markers are Ori. And I haven't found a solution to this actually. There is nothing, I didn't find any Python library or any imaging library that would let me draw these fonts in draw these words in correctly with correct spelling with correct vowel markers. So that's still an open issue that I need to figure out. I wish I knew before I started that Indic libraries, Indic language libraries are very few. There are hardly any available on the web actually. The ecosystem is sparsely populated, if I may. And that's kind of all I have for today. Uh, these are some links for you if you need to mm, find for your reference. And any questions that you may have, we are open to
Thank you
questions
very
now.
much, Anindita. That was really interesting. That was very interesting, even for someone like me who doesn't understand code. So, Anindita, we do have a few questions that we got on the chat. So I'll start with the first one that I've got here. So what if I don't know how to type Urdu or Hindi or Tamil or Gujarati? I suppose the person is asking if they don't know how to type in the script of the language.
Right. I don't really have a very good answer to that question because even I don't know how to type in Tamil, for example. I don't even know how to read Tamil. But one workaround that I found was you could probably go to an online transliteration tool that types from that converts your text from Roman to the script Urdu, the Nastaliq or the Devanagari or the Tamil script. Gujarati again uses Devanagari. Uh, or you could, there are several online transliterators not readily available for the Indic languages, but yeah, if you run a Google search, one or two will come up. And also, Google itself has a speech to text mm, translator for Hindi only, not for Urdu, not for the other Indian languages, just for Hindi. So if you were to speak that word out very slowly, you get a fairly decent mm, output in text, which you can then paste onto the bot and get the translation. A bot, not bot, into the app and then get the translation.
Okay,
So.
thank you. I think that's useful. And the other question is, can I tweet a word to the bot and get back a translation?
Not yet. That's one of the things that I need to. I was hoping to kind of enhance my program to do one of those things, but not yet. No.
So there you have a suggestion for
Yes.
enhancing Alfaaz the bot. Yeah. So next question then. Is the app available on the Google Store or anywhere else?
No, it isn't. It's available on the code. The source code of the app is available on GitHub. Uh, so and it's free. It's GPL. I forgot which license I put. I think MIT or something. So you can actually use the code and turn it into an app. It's written in Python. For an app, I would have needed an Android SDK or an iPhone wrapper, which I haven't done. So just you can take the code and turn it into an app if you want to from GitHub.
Okay, thank you. And I think you've got a question as well, Sandro. I just want to mention that I'm joined here by Sandro, who is our lead language technologist, and he's got a question for Anindita as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the presentation. It was really interesting, and it's very useful to see how people develop on top of our Oxford Dictionaries API, especially for languages other than English. And apart from the Oxford Dictionaries API, did you find other useful digital language resources and language tools for specifically for Urdu and Hindi?
The answer is no, actually. I didn't. I mean, this API gives you a very well formatted JSON object as a response. There are digital language resources, but they are not structured. So it's very difficult to parse them programmatically uh, and extract what you want to from whatever page it returns. So the short answer is no, I didn't. Also, it's just not for Urdu and Hindi. For any of the Indic languages, I did not find any digital, not many, I shouldn't say many, but any digital language resources at all. There are dictionaries online, but again, you can't extract stuff. I mean, like there is no publicly available interface that lets you access that corpus and uh, incorporate it into your app or your software or anything like that. So I didn't, but there might. I'm not saying there aren't any, but I'm not aware of those resources.
Yeah, we found a similar issue when we're actually even trying to find language resources for typically for Hindi languages, and this is one of the reasons why we provide these language resources, because the population is millions of people speak these languages, but unfortunately we realize there is a lack of language resources, and especially, as you said, structured language resources,
Yes,
so
exactly.
that you can extract and then reuse in other tools.
So there's still a clear gap there.
Yeah, and we hope with the launch of the other two languages, Tamil and Gujarati, we will expand on the resources that are available for speakers of Indian, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and so on.
Yeah. Okay. And still got two more questions. So next one is, have you got any plans to further development of your translators?
Not immediately. Like I'd like the tweetbot to do much more. Like if you tweet a word to it, the bot should be able to tweet back a response. But I mean, this is a hobby project, so I mean, I'm keeping the what you call the future enhancements very simple. Um, at the moment, I'm happy with what's happening. I would have liked to kind of uh, mm, I mean, be able to extract sentences as well when you tweet a word to me. If I could show you example sentences, but those endpoints are not yet. I mean, not for Urdu, not for Hindi, the languages that I am familiar with. So I mean, the thing is, I'll keep an eye on the API, and whenever something new comes up, I would definitely want to play around with them. But as of now, no concrete. I don't have any what you call. I don't have any specific vision about or any specific ideas that I might want to incorporate at this moment in the either the bot or the app.
Well,
I mean, it could be enhanced. I mean, like probably make it into a Chrome extension where you could read up. I mean, when you open a Hindi page and highlight some words, and you immediately get a meaning. But those things are like beyond my capabilities as of now. So I'm kind of just not thinking further. I'm not being ambitious, rather. So yeah, that's the situation as of now.
well, if there are any developments, make sure you let us know, because we certainly want to know about them.
Yes.
So last question I've got here is there anything you can't yet do with the API that you wish you could do?
Yes, I mean, I didn't find any word lists. There is one for which one? Urdu. No, there's a word list for Hindi, but not for Urdu. So I couldn't. I mean, I had to make my own word list. That's one thing I couldn't do with the API currently. And the other thing is sentences I couldn't extract for these languages because that endpoint is not available. So since I wanted to, I wanted not just to give the meaning, but also give a sentence, I had to kind of supply my own sentences. I mean, I picked up pieces of poetry, but yeah, I mean, that's, if that sentence endpoint were also available, it would have, I mean, nothing like it. And the other thing, I've not explored the lemmatron, I don't know how to pronounce it, that endpoint much. I don't know if I could, I mean, I haven't explored this, but if the verb, if words, if I could give possible conjugations of, I mean, if a word is conjugated already, if it were possible to extract the actual root word and give the meaning. For example, even nouns are declined in Urdu and Hindi, verbs are conjugated. So if that kind of a word is given as an input, uh, as of now, the dictionary will say no, word not found. But I haven't explored the lemmatron endpoint, so I don't know whether that's still possible to do. So
yeah, no, that's
that's
very
one.
useful feedback for us, Anindita, because the endpoints are not always available for all languages, and this is not because we don't want to deploy these endpoints. It's simply because sometimes we don't have the data. So the example of
Right.
the sentence dictionary, of course, we have it for English, the sentence dictionary, vast sentence dictionary for English, but we don't have it for Hindi or Urdu. So this is one of the reasons why some endpoints are not available for all languages. Is the same problem we were discussing before, is the lack of data. We can't get data for this. But it's very useful actually to let us know what what you would like to do with this endpoint, because if there is enough interest from the community, we can prioritize certain endpoints. We can add new functionalities. So we definitely want to know what people would like to see in terms of new functionalities or new languages. So I strongly recommend anyone to use the forum, and this will be channeled through our priorities, our requirements. If there are lots of people asking for I don't know, sentence dictionaries for Urdu, then we'll try to do something, because we really want to focus on the feedback from the users.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly what Sandro has just said. If any of the listeners have this sort of suggestion for us, this really helps to inform future decisions to what to include in future enhancements of the API. So you can always put the suggestion on the forum. We always collect the suggestions and we pass them on internally. So you can either use the comments when this recording is available on the forum. You can use the comments there, or you can just post a new suggestion in any of the categories there. There's one specially for suggestions, so feel free to use it to suggest. We cannot promise we'll have everything.
That's right. Yeah.
It just helps inform decisions.
Yeah. And it's really good for us to know how people are using the API, because we provide it, but then you are the people who are using it, and you are facing these issues, or you have ideas. So absolutely use the forum to ask for new features, new functionalities. And we read. I mean, Simone reads all the messages, and she channels through this to us in the technical team. So absolutely use the forum.
Yeah. So these were all the questions that I got through the chat, and I can't really see any other questions coming in from the participants. So I think this is all the questions we've got from now. But if anyone can think of a question later, or if you're watching the recording of the presentation and you want to send in a question, do post in the comment section, and I'll certainly pass the questions on to Anindita or to Sandro if you've got a question to Sandro. So by all means, if you have any questions, you can ask them at any point. So Anindita, thank you very much again for your presentation. It was very interesting, very good. Thanks, Sandro, for joining us, for commenting now, and I wish everyone a good day.
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks, Anindita. Thanks. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.